What you think you know about alchemy might be completely wrong. It's not just an occult science full of mysterious symbols and secret formulas. That's just the surface. The true purpose of alchemy has always been connected to Hermeticism. And what does that mean? It means that reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. The ancients knew this. Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary master of the occult, revealed the 7 Hermetic Principles that govern everything in the universe, and if you understand these laws, you can shape your own reality. But there's one detail almost no one notices. There is no alchemy without Hermeticism. The search for the Philosopher's Stone, the elixir of immortality, the mysteries of the universe. None of it makes sense without a deep understanding of these laws. The Emerald Tablet, one of the most enigmatic texts of the Hermetic tradition, holds the key to everything. As above, so below, as within, so without. This single phrase hides one of the greatest secrets of creation, which means that just as an alchemist transforms impure metal into gold, you can transform your mind, your life, and your reality. But there's a problem. Not everyone is ready for this. Many study symbols, try to decipher formulas, and seek the secret of alchemy. But without understanding the 7 Hermetic Principles, it all becomes just a pile of unsolvable riddles. True alchemy isn't found in books. It happens within you. And if this knowledge has reached you now, it's not a coincidence, so stay with me until the end. The Principle of Mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. If there's one key that can unlock every door in alchemy, it's the principle of mentalism. Before any transformation happens in the physical world, it must first occur in the mind. This isn't just a philosophical theory. It's the foundation upon which all of alchemy was built. The ancient alchemists spoke of the philosopher's stone, that mystical element capable of turning any impure metal into gold. But this stone was never a material object. It is a state of consciousness. While ordinary people believe that the external world shapes their thoughts, true initiates have always known the opposite. It is the mind that shapes reality. Transmutation doesn't begin in the alchemical laboratory. It begins in the laboratory of consciousness. Hermes Trismegistus revealed that everything that exists is a reflection of the universal mind. This means that matter, circumstances, opportunities, and even challenges are projections of what you hold within. Inner alchemy happens when you realize that your thoughts are not just passive reflections of the world around you, they are creative forces. The gold that alchemists sought symbolizes a higher state of consciousness, where the mind is no longer enslaved by conditioning, but becomes the true force that transforms reality. The experiment that confirms the principle for centuries, this idea was treated as an esoteric belief. But modern science has begun to uncover that the ancients were right all along. The double-slit experiment in quantum physics revealed something that completely challenges the traditional view of reality. The mere act of observation alters the outcome. When scientists fire subatomic particles through 2 slits, the pattern formed on the other side depends on what is being observed. If no one is watching, the particles behave like waves, spreading out unpredictably. But when an observer is introduced, the particles start behaving as if they have a defined trajectory. In other words, consciousness influences matter. This means that the reality around you is not fixed. It responds to the way you interact with it. And if your mind can affect the structure of reality at the subatomic level, imagine what happens when you master this principle consciously. The principle of mentalism teaches that your perception is not just a reflection of the world, it is the foundation upon which your reality is built. If your mind is in chaos, your life will reflect that chaos. If your mind is refined like the alchemist's gold, your reality will transform according to this new vibration. The philosopher's stone has always been within you. The principle of correspondence. If the mind shapes reality, then what we see around us isn't something separate from us. On the contrary, the external world is a direct reflection of our internal world. This is the essence of the principle of correspondence, one of the most enigmatic laws of Hermeticism and one of alchemy's best-kept secrets. As above, so below. As within, so without. Nothing in the universe is disconnected. The macrocosm and the microcosm mirror each other. The ancient alchemists understood that everything follows similar patterns, from galaxies to DNA, from the orbits of planets to the movement of electrons within an atom. The universe repeats itself on different scales, revealing that the structure of the cosmos also manifests within each human being. And this is exactly what makes alchemy so powerful. If everything corresponds, then the laws that govern the universe also govern your mind, your body, and your spirit. The alchemists of the past didn't just study metals in their laboratories, they studied themselves. The transformation of lead into gold was, first and foremost, an internal process where ignorance and primitive instincts were refined until they became awakened and elevated consciousness. Gold. This correspondence between the physical world and the subtle world led the masters of alchemy to observe nature with different eyes. The phases of the moon, the cycles of the seasons, the growth of plants, everything was a map for the path of internal transmutation. If the cycles of nature govern the growth of forests and the movement of oceans, then those same cycles also govern the rhythms of the mind and spirit. The principle of correspondence teaches that by understanding the structure of the universe, you understand yourself. Modern science, without realizing it, has confirmed the truth that the ancient masters already knew. On a cosmic level, galaxies arrange themselves in spirals, following the same mathematical pattern found in seashells and sunflowers. On a biological level, human DNA follows the same golden ratio found in the formation of nebulae and the very design of nature. On a quantum level, atoms have a nucleus surrounded by orbiting electrons, mirroring the structure of solar systems. The principle of correspondence is written into the very code of the universe. It proves that there is no separation between you and the cosmos. What happens within you is reflected in the world around you, and what happens in the world around you is reflected within you. The masters of alchemy knew that those who learn to read the patterns of nature also learn to read themselves. If the entire universe follows cycles of creation, destruction, and renewal, then we too go through these cycles. The principle of vibration. If everything in the universe is a reflection of higher patterns, then the structure of reality isn't fixed, it's fluid. Nothing is at rest. Everything moves, everything vibrates. This is the principle of vibration, one of the deepest keys of Hermeticism and alchemy. Whether it's the rotation of planets, the flow of tides, or the beating of your heart, everything is in motion. Not just physically, but energetically. Matter, when observed up close, isn't solid. It's made of atoms vibrating at specific frequencies, sustained by an invisible energy that shapes everything that exists. The ancient alchemists knew that any substance could be altered through frequency and resonance. This is the true secret of transmutation. It's not just about changing matter, but altering its vibration. Just as lead can be transformed into gold by adjusting its atomic structure, thoughts, words, and emotions can also change reality by modifying the frequency at which they vibrate. If the philosopher's stone represents awakened consciousness, then the code to access it lies in the right vibration. The wise ones of all traditions have always taught that sound shapes reality. From "Let there be light" in the scriptures to the Om of the Hindus, the vibration of sound has always been seen as the trigger of creation. In Egypt, priests chanted mantras to alter states of consciousness and heal diseases. In Greece, Pythagoras taught that the universe was governed by a music of the spheres, where each celestial body emitted its own frequency. In alchemy, symbols engraved on metals were visible forms of invisible frequencies, vibrational codes capable of altering the essence of substances. And now, modern science has finally caught up with this knowledge. Experiments in cymatics, the study of sound waves on matter, show that specific sounds organize particles into perfect geometric patterns. Water, when exposed to certain frequencies, forms mandalas and fractals. Ice crystals respond to words spoken near them. The human body, made mostly of water, reacts to every sound, thought, and intention. If vibration can reorganize matter, imagine what your own thoughts do to your body and your reality. In quantum physics, scientists have discovered that electrons don't have a fixed position. They oscillate between possibilities, and their state depends on observation. Matter isn't solid, but condensed energy vibrating at different frequencies. This means that the vibrational state of matter can be consciously altered. When you feel fear, your vibration lowers. When you feel love, it rises. Every emotion, every thought generates a frequency that impacts your body, your environment, and even the events that unfold around you. The alchemists knew that to master matter, one must first master vibration. The frequency you emit determines what you attract. Reality responds to the energy you sustain, and if everything is vibration, then you hold the key to shaping your existence. The principle of polarity. If everything vibrates, then everything oscillates between extremes. Nothing in the universe exists without its opposite, because reality is sustained by the interplay of complementary forces. Light and shadow, hot and cold, positive and negative, life and death. Even matter itself follows this principle. Lead and gold are just two poles of the same process, and it is precisely this understanding that forms the foundation of alchemy. Everything is dual. Everything has two poles. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. This is the principle of polarity, the key to understanding that transformation doesn't mean destruction, it means transmutation. The alchemist doesn't reject darkness, but uses it as raw material to create light. He doesn't destroy lead, but refines it until its true essence shines like gold. This is the concept of solve et coagula, dissolve to rebuild, break apart to integrate. If everything is polarity, then fear and courage are just two extremes of the same energy. The same applies to ignorance and wisdom, weakness and strength. The secret isn't to deny one side, but to understand that both are part of the same process and can be converted into one another. And to illustrate this concept more clearly, I'll share with you a short story that captures this wisdom. In a distant land, where wise men taught that everything was a reflection of the mind, a young seeker set out on a journey to find the legendary door of knowledge, which, according to the ancients, led to the ultimate truth. It was said that whoever passed through the portal would become enlightened, capable of understanding the mysteries of life and death. After years of traveling, crossing deserts, forests, and mountains, the young man finally found the door, a massive structure of black stone embedded with symbols that seemed to glow under the moonlight. But standing before it was a guardian, a fierce-looking man, draped in a dark cloak, holding a gleaming sword. "To pass through this portal," said the guardian in a deep voice, "you must first defeat me." The young man, who had trained his mind and body throughout his journey, drew his sword, ready to fight. But as he lunged at the guardian, something unexpected happened. He was overwhelmed by fear. His body trembled, his hands grew sweaty, and his mind was flooded with doubt. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? The guardian smiled and asked, "Now tell me, young warrior, who are you?" The young man hesitated. He had always believed he was brave, determined, and strong, but there, standing before the guardian, he found himself consumed by fear. And then he understood. The guardian was his own reflection. The battle wasn't against an external enemy. It was against his own shadow. The young man closed his eyes and embraced the fear. Instead of fighting it, he accepted it as a part of himself. And in that very instant, the guardian vanished and the door opened. The secret of polarity isn't to destroy one side, but to integrate it. Fear can be transformed into courage, doubt can be converted into clarity, and lead can become gold. But this only happens when we stop resisting and start understanding that opposites are really just two extremes of the same energy. Principle of rhythm. Just as everything in the universe pulses in a constant flow, the alchemical journey follows a rhythmic and inevitable movement. Nothing is static. Everything has ebb and flow, rise and fall. Time doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in cycles. And understanding this cosmic dance is essential for anyone who wishes to walk the path of transmutation. Many beginners on the path of alchemy believe that transformation happens in a linear way, as if by acquiring certain knowledge or practicing a technique, spiritual evolution would occur immediately and permanently. But the truth is that transformation happens in waves with ups and downs, expansion and contraction. This is the principle of rhythm, and the ancient sages knew that resisting it only brings suffering. Those who don't understand life's rhythm fight against the tides, while the true alchemist learns to dance with them. The secret of transmutation lies in recognizing and respecting the cycles. Just as day alternates with night, tides rise and fall, and seasons renew, the inner journey also goes through distinct phases. The great work, the supreme process of alchemy, is divided into 3 major stages, each representing an essential part of awakening: nigredo, the death of the ego. The first stage of the great work is nigredo, symbolized by darkness. This is the moment of deconstruction, where everything that no longer serves must be dissolved. Here, the alchemist faces their shadows, limiting beliefs, fears, and patterns that keep them trapped. It's a period of crisis, rupture, and deep self-confrontation. This is where many give up, believing something is wrong. But in reality, nigredo is essential. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it can sprout, the soul must go through emptiness before it can be reborn. Albedo, purification. After the dark night comes the dawn. Albedo is the stage of purification where consciousness begins to rise. The confusion of nigredo gives way to clarity. Here, the seeker realizes they don't need to hold on to past pain. It was just part of the process. The mind becomes lighter, thoughts become clearer, and spirituality manifests more naturally. It's an awakening into a state of presence where the ego no longer completely dominates one's perception of reality. Rubedo, spiritual rebirth. The final stage, rubedo, represents full integration. It is the phase of realization where the alchemist no longer sees themselves as separate from the universe. The gold has been extracted from the lead, the raw stone has been polished, and the true essence of the being can finally shine. At this point, transformation is no longer just internal, it is reflected in the external world. What was once just an intellectual concept now manifests tangibly in the seeker's life. The alchemist understands that there is no separation between mind and matter, between spirit and reality. They become the philosopher's stone itself. But the secret that few understand is that these 3 stages don't happen just once. They repeat at different moments in life. Each time a cycle ends, another begins, and the journey restarts on a deeper level. Just as nature follows its eternal cycles, the alchemical process never truly ends, it only evolves. The ancient alchemists observed these rhythms in nature itself. They knew that the growth of a tree, the movement of the stars, and the flow of rivers follow patterns that are also reflected in the inner process. They studied the cycles of the moon, the tides, the times of harvest, and the periods of retreat, because all of these things taught about the rhythms of the soul. And this is the final lesson of the principle of rhythm. Don't fight the cycles, accept them, dance with them. Because when you learn to flow with the movement of life, transformation happens naturally. The principle of cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance, nothing comes from nothing. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. This is one of the most powerful principles of spiritual alchemy because it reveals one of the deepest secrets of existence. Everything we experience is a consequence of something that was set in motion before. Many people look at their lives and wonder why certain patterns keep repeating. Why do some people seem to be stuck in the same situations over and over? Why do certain challenges return, even after so much effort to avoid them? The answer lies in the principle of cause and effect, also known in the East as karma. But forget the distorted idea of karma as punishment or payback. The true meaning of karma is much deeper. It is the invisible equation that maintains the harmony of the universe. In alchemy, this means that nothing in our spiritual journey is random. Every experience, every challenge, and every revelation is part of a process triggered by past actions, thoughts, and intentions. Just as an alchemist must carefully measure the right ingredients for transmutation to occur, life responds to our choices with absolute precision. If someone wants to change their reality, the key is not to try to alter the effects, but to act on the causes. This is where spiritual alchemy becomes practical. By understanding this principle, the seeker realizes they have the power to shape their own destiny. A true alchemist does not see themselves as a victim of circumstances. They understand that everything they experience is the result of choices, even those made unconsciously. They don't blame fate, other people, or external forces. They take full responsibility for their life. This means that if negative patterns keep repeating, it's not because the universe is against you, but because there is a frequency that is yet to be transmuted. Just as lead must be refined to become gold, negative experiences must be understood and redefined in order to transform. And how is this done? The first step is awareness. When a seeker recognizes that everything they experience is the effect of a cause they themselves generated, they step out of the victim mindset and take on the role of creator. They begin to notice patterns, identify triggers, and, most importantly, change their response to them. Many believe that changing karma requires paying off a cosmic debt, but true Hermetic wisdom teaches that what truly transforms karma is not punishment, but the transmutation of consciousness. If in past lives, or even in this life, someone has cultivated patterns of scarcity, fear, or resentment, the path to liberation is not through suffering more to make up for it, but by shifting their vibration now. Karma is not an unavoidable burden, but a learning system. Everything we do, think, and feel sends out waves that inevitably return to us in some form. When an awakened seeker understands this, they begin to act with intention. They realize that every thought planted in their mind is a seed that will inevitably bear fruit. This means there are no shortcuts. No transformation happens without effort. But when someone starts sowing actions and intentions aligned with their highest truth, the universe responds accordingly. If someone wants to live in harmony, they must cultivate thoughts and emotions of harmony. If they desire abundance, they must align their vibration with abundance. If they seek love, they must become that energy. It's not enough to want it, you must be it. This is why the ancient alchemists work not only on the transmutation of metals, but on inner transmutation. They knew that true gold is not outside, but within, and that this transformation depends entirely on understanding and applying the principle of cause and effect. The principle of gender. The universe is made of complementary forces: light and darkness, day and night, expansion and contraction, masculine and feminine. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This is the mystery that the ancient alchemists called the alchemical marriage, the fusion of opposing energies within ourselves. Unlike the limited material view, where gender is interpreted only in a biological sense, the principle of gender in Hermeticism reveals a much deeper secret. These two forces are present in everything, including the human psyche. Within each being, there is an active side and a receptive side, a logical side and an intuitive side, a side that expands and a side that nurtures. A true alchemist does not deny either of these aspects. They integrate them. The Hermetic tradition represented this principle through the symbolic union of the king and the queen, the sun and the moon, sulfur and mercury. The king symbolizes the masculine principle, action, intellect, the power to transform the external world. The queen represents the feminine principle, intuition, receptivity, the power to transform the inner world. When these two principles come into balance, something new is born. Awakened consciousness. Many search for their soulmate without realizing that before any external union, they must first achieve the inner twin flame. A true alchemist does not seek completion through another, but within themselves. Only when these internal forces are in harmony does true transmutation occur. The quest of the ancient alchemists was always about something far greater than transforming matter. It was about the liberation of consciousness. Esoteric texts speak of the creation of the philosopher's gold, but few have understood its true meaning. This gold was never just a metal. It was always a state of being. External alchemy, the attempt to turn lead into gold, was never the ultimate goal. It was only a metaphor for a much deeper process. Inner alchemy, the transmutation of the soul, the ascension to an elevated state of consciousness. The true alchemists were not just scientists experimenting with formulas in laboratories. They were initiates in the mysteries of the universe, masters of spiritual transmutation. To them, the great work was not about material wealth, but about achieving enlightenment. And here lies the secret that has been hidden for centuries. The 7 Hermetic Principles are the key to this transformation. When understood and applied, they completely reconfigure one's perception of reality. But understanding these principles is not enough. You must live them. If this knowledge has found you now, it was not by chance. True alchemy does not happen in books, videos, or texts. It happens within you. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Now that the veil has been lifted, you have a power that few possess, the power of conscious choice. The transformation has already begun. The question is not whether you are ready for alchemy. The question is, are you willing to step through the portal and become the alchemist of your own reality? Now that you have understood the secrets of alchemy and the 7 Hermetic Principles, there is one final essential step in your journey. Don't leave yet. A special video has been prepared for you, diving even deeper into this knowledge and showing you how to apply it to your life in a real and practical way. Click now on the video appearing on your screen, and let's meet there. See you on the other side.